That's the achievement I
I don't
got.
think the game was that expensive. I think it was like $9.
Wow, this was credits. Wow, the estimate for this was 11.5 hours. And we're at, let's just say, like 7 hours 45 minutes. So either other people struggled with this or we crushed this.
We're out here crushing it.
There were some, like, that potion one towards the end. I could see people spending so long
It's
on that.
because their Dandori is poor. But you've got an excellent Pikmin player on your side. I know all about time management.
Well, just think about doing that with the walkie-talkies, you know?
Gross, bro.
It's like you're trying to say something and then, you can't because they're or like they didn't let go of the button and it's just ugh.
Oh, a boat showed up to save me.
Oh, I'm still singing.
Oh, the boat's full of puzzles!
Is it really?
That would have been a funny ending.
That would have been. Alrighty. What'd you think?
I had a good time. I like the We Were Here games. I think they do a good job with like video game style puzzle rooms. Not all of their puzzles are bangers. There's definitely a difference in quality of the puzzles. Some of them just do not hit.
Ken also had like a similar criticism, and I think for me the fact, like, one of the strong factors is puzzles where I have to communicate something to you and you have to interpret that communication and do something with it. I think those ones are the strong ones on my for me. Like the one where you were placing the dolls on the chairs. Like, I liked that one.
Agree.
But ones, but like even then, some of those were kind of hit and miss. Like, for example, the doll head one. I'm not sure that one was great. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think there's some hit and miss, but I also think for a $10 game, this is a great way to kill like a weekend with a friend.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, don't go to the movies. Don't see that 2-hour movie that you're going to regret and buy that expensive popcorn. Sit at home, fire up some We Were Here together, kill a weekend. It's cheaper.
I can agree with that. I can't remember all the puzzles, but there were.
I did really like the potion puzzle though. After we got going, like I really enjoy those kind of like time management puzzles with resource like constraints.
I was very unsure of that one until we got to the point where it's like, oh, we need to make another potion and we're out of time. That's where I was like, I'm not sure I like that one as much. Granted, we worked it out. Like, we got through it.
We did indeed.
But I'm not. I think that one was a little too constrained for me. I've had the most fun on the puzzles where we didn't have a time limit and we could just like look at what we have and just try to figure it out.
I do think it's their attempt to like mix up the kinds of puzzles. Because when you have a time management puzzle, the puzzle is less about how do we do this and how do we do this efficiently. and that's a different viewpoint from a puzzle, and I can appreciate that. I love time management puzzles because I'm a Pikmin guy, so like, of course, I'm down to clown.
Yeah.
I really wish these games did not have a plot. Just like 1,000%, it feels like an escape room plot. Where it's like, okay, we need a reason to justify the aesthetics. Here's my story I'm telling you. It's like every Sherlock Holmes escape room I've ever been in, the plot is just completely ignored. Why even have it? Just tell me it's Sherlock Holmes themed. Just tell me it's castle themed, and there's magic. Like that's all the plot I needed. The entire rest of this was like very superficial to actually having any bearing on the game. I actually think there's some points of this game where it suffered because we were busy trying to do plot stuff, and it was very pointless. It wasn't very enjoyable. I didn't like the plot. I thought it took away from the game overall.
I'm fine with plot at the start and at the end of a game like this. But I would definitely agree that the plot in the middle, or at the end of certain puzzles and stuff like that, it wasn't great. I didn't need to see all, like, I'm not playing this game for plot. I'm playing this game because I want to go through some communication puzzles, with a friend or what have you. So it's kind of weird to come across a game and be like, we play games for, these unique experiences, blah, blah, blah. And I just don't want this game to have a core pillar of a video game.
Every time we stopped to do a like cutscene-ish plot point, I was checked out. I was like, okay, cool. This gives me like 2 to 3 minutes to there was never a what's coming up next for me. And that's been a reoccurring theme through like all these games. The We Were Here thing is, I think it's more than reasonable from a puzzle game. It's a very fun game as far as like, hey, have a buddy, do it up. The plot is just weird, and I don't think it comes across very well.
I will say that for me personally, like, the biggest disappointments for me were the moments where, there's a special way to say this without saying it every other way, but basically the moments where we had to go get the lenses and then bring them back and not being able to do them all at the same time.
The padding points.
Yeah, it's not how I want to put it, but sure. I think there were a couple of instances of those, and it's just nice to be able to kind of go at your own pace. I see why they did it that way, because they wanted to add in, the story segments and things like that.
Sure.
But I could have done without that. Having to go back and forth, that's not fun.
Well, it didn't let us see anything new either. So it's not like the town was changing that we were in, or the hub we were going to. That's the other thing. Why not just make the astrolabe inn that you have to do twice and then get to go to the next level? The whole hub thing is so you have a reoccurring point that you can see progression of the game. And having a secondary hub point that we have to go to kind of took away from that. I don't know. It feels like it ruins the pacing of the game a lot, because when we're in the sections or chapters or whatever you want to call them, the pacing's good. Like, it is, we're going, we're doing stuff, find the next thing, and like, it's a good pacing. And then as soon as we're done with that section, it's like, okay, now we have this really slow walk section that you're forced to take on a really slow tram to walk through a door, to immediately left click a thing to turn back out the door, to go back down the slow tram, to bunny hop over to your next chapter.
Yeah.
Pacing killer. Faux show.
I'm going through the VOD right now, and some of the earlier puzzles I think were really, really cool. Like the very
the prison
first.
escape thing was really cool.
I enjoyed those. Once. Oh, and then like leading you across. I didn't necessarily like those ones as much. The ones where like you had the cannonball or whatever, and
Yeah.
I was leading you across those. Those were whatever. The toy box. Those
The toy
puzzles,
box was good.
those were probably my favorite in the entire game. Like you being on the other side and be like, oh, okay, you know, you need to go through this portal and then press this switch. And then I was like, okay, and then I can do this. I thought that was great. But the highlight was the domino room with the gem room with the loot room.
I agree. That was also a very visually aesthetic puzzle. Like, I was actually excited to see what the next portion would be.
Yeah. That by far, I think that puzzle or those two puzzles, whichever, because I guess there was a second one that came after that. Those are probably my favorite in the entire series.
That we were inside of, where we could manipulate the inverse, was very interesting. And I don't feel like they overly complicated it because it naturally led you to the solution.
Mm-hmm.
It felt very good to figure out.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I was so pleased.
And
with
also
this
visually very aesthetic.
Super, super cool puzzle. I can't believe that one slipped my mind. Yeah, you know, actually, as soon as we left the toy box, that's probably where it started to go downhill for me. Because then it was the doll head one.
Yeah.
And I wasn't big on that. Oh, but the placing the dolls on the benches, I did like that one. That one was cool. The music one, I still
the
don't.
music one was janky.
I still don't understand how we solved that. Are you looking at the stream right now?
I am actually looking at the stream. I can see how you had. I had a bit of information on the low side. I feel like it would have been better if you just had all the information and I had only the keyboard.
There's a music sheet that I described to you as like arrows going down, and I don't know what. Like, not only do I not know what that means, but also somehow that one was just correct.
Yeah.
Like wherever it was placed and I told you to play something, it was just correct. And I don't know what happened. I just know.
Yeah, I think that puzzle would have been better if you had had just all the information on your side.
Yeah, that was super confusing. Yeah, see that one right there? I'm just like, what the heck? Let's see. And then that raised the banners. And then this is where this puzzle. This one was an interesting one.
I liked the exchange puzzle. I liked the exchange puzzle a lot, actually.
I think my problem with this puzzle is I didn't feel like I understood it for the majority of the puzzle. And the only reason that it started making sense to me was when things were locking into place. And then I was like, okay, I need, I think I need these specific pieces, but I didn't know how that interacted with you for a really long time.
Yeah. Once we figured it out, though.
Um, let's see. Then we have the grave puzzle. This one was interesting.
I liked the grave puzzle. I wish that the map they had downstairs was a little better. Because there was a little it was a little harder. I wish there were better landmarks. That's really what I'm asking for. I wish that there was a little bit better of landmarks.
So this is the one where you're like, go find the XXX grave, and I just went to the very first one that I saw, and it turned out to be correct.
Perfect.
Because
Ideal.
there were so many other ones. Let's see. What else do we got? Then we went over to this
This
side.
was the lot puzzle place.
Yeah, I liked the light puzzle. It's one of those things for me where I understand why they do what they do, in the sense of, like they kind of want to obstruct your view so that you can't understand exactly what's happening on the other side. But it would have been nice if if it was a clear floor and I could see things better, because from my end it wasn't very easy to see what was going on.
Yeah.
But that one was fine.
The lot puzzle was okay. It helped that I figured out like the layout of how things were going to work. Like with the number of lenses they gave us.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you didn't look at the number of lenses and then the number of places you could put lenses before you started putting them, that could have got very messy.
Yeah. It took a while for me to understand that we had to make that picture on the door as well. I just saw that, and then there were those other images of like, don't use these owls, and I'm not even sure.
Yeah, I wish that I could have seen the image from downstairs, because I was just hoping for the best.
Right. And then, oh yeah, oh okay, I want to show you what I saw. So,
Oh, thank goodness, because this was a wild one.
oh, you go in there, and then you're going in there, and so my room was like a bunch of maps and then a bunch of pipes that just go do all kinds
Oh
of
yeah,
crazy things.
this is crazy.
So I had to run into like certain rooms, and you were that didn't correspond to anything, and so I had no idea what was going on. And yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, yeah. This was interesting. I actually really liked the underwater puzzle quite a lot. The time constraint was pressing enough without it being like completely overburdened. Yeah, this was a pretty good puzzle.
I think this was an example in the potion puzzle. It was more like you're doing steps to reach the final thing, but if you fail, then like you have to start all over. But in this one, it felt like there were checkpoints.
Yeah, not only were there like a checkpoint feel to it, but the one time I did drown, it didn't reclose the doors that I had drowned. So it kept those doors open.
Oh, that's really good too.
So that was very generous, is that they didn't reshut the doors if you drowned.
Yeah, I like this one a lot. This one was great. Uh, let's see what comes after that. Ah, yes. Then this puzzle, I'm really curious what it looked like on your side.
Yeah, I should have streamed my perspective. In hindsight, this is probably why I'm not a very good streamer. Um,
Mana Drive was
this
saying
one looks
yesterday.
similar to how yours looked, but I had a little more information on my panel. And I just used the shapes of the puzzles, the pops they would give us to try and figure out like how mine would go.
Okay. For so freaking long, I had no idea what was going on. And then I would like look at this machine and I was like, okay, I have this machine. And I would press the button and then like nothing. I didn't notice that there was a pipe right there, like it, it was rough times for me. Then there's, that's the end of that one.
Yeah, we finished the pop puzzle and went immediately down.
Today's so for the octopus puzzle.
I do feel like the octopus puzzle, once we figured out how you can listen to stuff, because I was so baffled. I was like, how do I translate these sounds into a symbol? None of this makes any sense.
So I had to rotate this wheel thing, and it would give 3 options, and typically it would be 1 to 2 of those options would correspond to the book, and then I could pull a lever to listen to the sound. And so I had to get that sound and then translate it to whatever the shape was, and then translate it into the word. It was an interesting one.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Trying to recreate the octopus sounds a nightmare.
And then right after this one was the potion one, I believe.
Yes. It's the
Yeah.
potion one right after that. And then I felt like the last section was, hey, we got to wrap this game up.
Yeah. I mean, it was interesting that it wasn't timed. Of all the puzzles.
Yeah, I figured this would be timed.
Yeah, like it set the stage for it to be timed, but it wasn't. And strangely enough, it's kind of like if you fail it, it's the good ending. Like everybody dies, including the jester. So yeah, this one not being timed was unorthodox.
Mm-hmm. I also felt the layout of the room was really weird. Because there was a lot of stuff to interact with on the ground floor that is the last thing you interact with.
Yeah.
And it was just odd for it to be laid out that way.
So this is one of those scenarios where there are multiple things to interact with and the room changes multiple times, but you don't go to like new places to make changes. You have to rediscover old places, and that didn't feel so good either. Because it was like, okay, we need to go to the laser's pointing towards this one now, and like, oh, this random spot over here is now open where we can go onto these floorboards. And it's like, well, that could have just been open already, and we could just not interact with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was We Were Here Forever. I think that's all we got. Like I said, I was expecting at least another 4 hours or so, because we only did like 5.5 to 5 hours 45 minutes yesterday.
Oh, so we were really like half the estimate.
Yeah, like we still had another like 5 or 6 hours to go by my the estimate that I had. But yeah. Any closing thoughts, Dante, before we wrap this stuff up?
Remember to like, rate, and subscribe.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. This is more than likely the last stream of 2023. So, see y'all in 2024.
See you when I see you.
Peace.